Hey everybody, it's Kneecap here, and in this video, we're going to be talking about Hammer of Wrath, specifically the changes to Hammer of Wrath coming in Midnight. Now, somehow I have not mentioned this yet. I thought I mentioned this in my initial Ret Paladin video where I kind of read the patch notes basically from Blizzard, the blue post, and it turns out that I didn't. And then when I was going through the talent tree, since I focused mostly on the Ret side and just kind of quickly went over the Paladin side, I again did not mention it in that video, which has been, that's definitely a huge miss by me. I actually had a comment, maybe even more than one comment, saying, "Hey, Hammer of Wrath change, Hammer of Wrath change." And at first, I got, especially on the last video, I got a little bit defensive because I'm like, "Yeah, I know it changed," but it turns out, yes, I did not mention it. This is important to mention, so I'm doing a whole video just about this and the implications of this. So if you don't know already, Hammer of Wrath, it goes from being one of your abilities, your like execute ability, if you want to call it that. It's not much of an execute, but your execute ability, it's very low in priority in the War Within. They are completely rechanging it, probably because it was so low priority in the War Within. Now, for Blessing of Anchi, it was used, but Herald wasn't used very much. So Hammer of Wrath now changes. It requires Paladin, of course. During Avenging Wrath, Judgment is empowered into Hammer of Wrath, meaning your Judgment button. So my Judgment button's on my one key, basically. It's not technically one, but where your one key would be, or your very first key would be. That's where my Judgment's at. And that would just turn into Hammer of Wrath during Avenging Wrath. So hurls a Divine Hammer. It's basically the same thing, and it generates one holy power, except for it's in place of Judgment. So this has multiple implications. So one, it is, we'll pull this away now that we've gone over it. One implication is that you do have one less button. That can be a good thing. We gained a button back by not using Crusading Strike auto attacks. So, that's one less button, I guess, in that case, right? So we lost that button, and we gained, or we lost Hammer of Wrath, and we gained Templar Strikes back, perhaps, if it ends up being playable. However, that is something they've tried to do. They tried to remove buttons. I have multiple takes on this. Now, number one, I think it can be cool the way they're trying to design it. It's basically Wings empowers your Judgment, and then the things that empower your Judgment feel even more beneficial, right? Because it's going to be then your Hammer of Wrath. So down here you have Vengeful Wrath, for example. It's a little bit slightly different on the new talents, the Vengeful Wrath talent, but that it still exists down there and still empowers your Hammer of Wrath, or your in that case it's your Judgment, masquerading as your Hammer of Wrath. Now what I'm curious about is if the things that like empower your Judgments, if those also then should in theory empower your Hammer of Wraths when you have Wings active. So Divine Toll lasts 2 additional time, or casts 2 additional times on your target at 150% effectiveness. So does that mean that your Divine Toll, as long as you have your Wings active, is going to hit with Hammer of Wrath? Now, if I had the alpha, I could just tell you this, of course, but I don't. But those are the things I'm looking at, and that's something you wouldn't have to be a very high-end player to figure that out on the alpha. Any Paladin could figure that out for you, that can test it out. And so does that then do Hammer of Wrath? Because then that makes these talents a lot more interesting, I guess, that empower your Judgment, because it's actually going to be empowering your Hammer of Wrath, which could be, a little bit more beneficial for you. So those are basically the main implications, is that there's one less button, and our Judgment effects now a little bit better, at least during Wings. You're going to have Wings uptime pretty high with Radiant Glory and the extension of Divine Wrath, if that's what we end up playing, right? So then you'd have a lot more, Hammer of Wrath to press. So our Judgment effects just in general are going to be stronger because of that. Do the Judgment effects carry over to Hammer of Wrath? When they just say Judgment, does it also empower Hammer of Wrath? I mean, those are things that I would want to know, of course. It says it empowers your Judgment, so I kind of think it should. But maybe, I don't know, right? I'm not on the alpha, and that's something I'll be looking into. I'll probably scour other creators and other writers and stuff like that and see. I'm sure somebody's talked about it somewhere at some point already. So I'll be going through that, and if you guys already know, just let me know below. And then, and if somebody knows exactly how it works on the alpha right now, let me know below in a detailed way, and that could save me some time having to even look for it. But yeah, this is definitely a change. It's not the end of the world or anything. The my last takeaway before we finish up this video is just that Hammer of Wrath is kind of like a move that I really enjoyed, like all the way back in the old days. So like, you know, the very early days of WoW, on my paladin having Hammer of Wrath, I always thought that was very, very cool. Once, well, you know, once I learned that ability on my paladin, I don't even know if it was in, was it even in vanilla? It might have been come out in BC or something. But I remember getting Hammer of Wrath and be like, oh, this is awesome. I think you had to cast it at one point. I'm not even sure. My brain's a little foggy on it, but it's just like a core ability. It's a core ability in my mind, at least, regardless of when it came out. I know it was a long time ago because I remember getting it and thinking it was so cool. So it's like a, you know, it's not the same as like losing Judgment or, you know, even Divine Storm. It's, you know, it's also, it's not all the way old, but it's fairly old. Like losing Divine Storm would be a little bit weird in my opinion as well. But yeah, so there's certain abilities that would be very Crusading Strike, which we technically lost, and you know nobody plays just regular Crusader Strike. That's a pretty old ability, but you know we'll see. So it's a little bit sad to see it change, and I think that's probably where the division will be. There'll be some people like, don't take away my Hammer of Wrath, and there'll be other people that are like, oh, this is kind of cool. You know, I think that'll be kind of like, or like, it's one less button. I think that's probably where the battle lines will be drawn, kind of, and I'll be interested to see what other people think about it. Though for me, it wasn't that big of a deal. I just want to know how it works and if it's going to work correctly and all that kind of stuff, more than anything else. Other than that, I don't care too much. I lose a little bit of nostalgia, but I'm kind of like middle of the road for it. I'm more worried about the spec working correctly, feeling good, and performing decently, right? That's what I'm more worried about when it comes to it. If they want to change some things design wise, I don't mind that as long as it's cool and feels good. So that's where I'm at on it. Like I said, let me know below if you know exactly how the Hammer Wrath works on Alpha and the interactions it has with the Judgment empowering effects and whatnot. Let me know how that works, or if you know how it's intended to work, but it's not working that way. Then, you know, just let me know in general your thoughts on this change as well. You know, I'm sure the people that will be most passionate to talk about it would be the people that don't want it to leave. But, you know, let me know why you don't want it to leave, I guess. Is it just nostalgia like me, or is there other reasons? So, as always, I do ask you to please subscribe to the channel. I apologize once again for, you know, not mentioning this in the earlier video. I don't know how I missed it in the patch note video. And if you're already a subscriber, I encourage you to check out the Patreon. And other than that, everybody, have a good one.